Should I turn my volume down? We are live. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our author interview with the queen of historical romance. Beverly Jenkins is here. As you can tell, we were all super, super excited to chat all about her book. Like, we all literally cannot stop smiling. We're so excited. So welcome. To start off, we are going to talk about our favorite book of yours. So, Samantha, I know what your answer is, but you can go ahead and talk about your favorite book.
I talk about this book all the time. It's my favorite. Oh, I'm Samantha from Books with Samantha, by the way. My favorite has always and will forever be Indigo. I've read this book at least like 10 times. It is just one of my favorite love stories. I think it's incredibly romantic. I love the audiobook as well. And of course, this cover is just stunning. So this one will always be my favorite.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Same. I've talked pages here on BookTube, and my favorite historical is Indigo. My favorite contemporary is Deadly Sexy.
Oh, okay.
I love that book.
Okay. Good choices. Jessica, what you got?
So one of them is Indigo. I'm gonna say that. I've read I think 20 of your books so far. I've read a lot. Indigo will always and forever be amazing. But one of my favorites, you made me love one of my least favorite tropes, which is surprise pregnancy. I don't love reading those, but Destiny's Surrender is just like,
you know what?
On another level. This is absolutely amazing.
I hate secret baby books. I hate them. And I'm I said at a con one time, and we're talking about tropes we loved and hate. And I said, I hate secret baby tropes. And one of the ladies in the audience said, Miss Bev, you wrote one. And I was like, no, I didn't. And she said, yeah, you did. And I was like, and so then she gave me the title. And I was like, but it wasn't a secret baby. She said, yes, it was. So
that was a close second. I love that book very much too. Billy, I just love her to pieces.
She is amazing. She is one of the most amazing heroines that I've ever been blessed to write about. Her and Spring Rain are at the top, So, but yeah, I didn't realize I was writing a secret baby book. In my mind, it wasn't a secret baby book because she didn't know who the father was.
Yeah.
So for me, that disqualified it as being. But I guess if you look at the trope and look at it in the long view, it is a secret baby book. So, but I still hate them.
I only have one in all of the books that you've written, just one.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So good. I think this whole series though is so good.
Yeah, that whole series is really amazing. Is there a trope that you enjoy writing the most?
I love marriage of convenience.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my books are marriage of convenience. That's probably my favorite. And then, just two strong characters. It doesn't matter what trope it could be. It could be enemies to lovers. It could be, found families. It could be, whatever. But as long as the two characters are strong, I don't do wimpy women.
Oh yeah.
I don't do.
You don't.
If the zombie apocalypse happens, my ladies are not going to be falling down and getting eaten.
No.
Or if Godzilla shows up, they're not going to be falling down and all that. But and I think that goes back to, and I've said this before in interviews, Dorothy Sterling's book, We Are Your Sisters, Black Women of the 19th Century. I use that a lot, her scholarship a lot in my early books. And she said one of the reasons that Black women were so successful in the 19th century was because of the three gifts that they had. They worked, whether they were slave or free. They had a commitment to community and activism, and they pushed the envelope on gender and race. And you will find my ladies have either all three or just one or two. And I don't consciously give them those qualities. They just sort of show up and show out with that already in their personality. So it's just my job to get it right and put it down on the page so that the readers can enjoy it. So
I love your heroes though too, because they're strong enough to let the heroines lead, and it doesn't take away from their masculinity. And
No.
I just find that
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah,
Okay.
supportive guys. Yeah, because who wants to be with somebody who's an asshole, right?
Okay.
You know, so, or as we used to call them back in the day, alpha holes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We don't do too many alpha holes in this modern day of romance. But and just like with, I forget names, Garrett
Okay.
in Spring Rain, my first quote unquote cinnamon roll. Yeah, I mean he was so nerdy. I mean, every time you saw him, he had a book. The only thing I didn't give him was glasses. But he was strong enough to realize that, just let her be, because she's not gonna change. I'm gonna love her regardless of whatever happens. So I find those heroes to be a lot more fascinating to me, I think, than somebody who's throwing their weight around and got to grovel at the end and all of that. I'm not into the grovel. So.
And I think, though, that makes the best banter between them, because they really do meet each other that way. I forget, I'm trying to rack my brain which book it is, but when she shoots him in the beginning and finds out that he's actually the person she's supposed to marry.
Oh, Topaz. Ah, my favorite, one of my favorites. And
So
she's like,
Cat.
can he even read? Yeah. And that was interesting because that's book number 4, I think. And I got a letter. This was back before email. I got a letter from a reader who said, Bev, we loved the first 3 books. They were sort of serious. Can you write a comedy? And I was like, sure. You never say no. And out of that came Topaz. And if you've read that or haven't read it, it still stands up really well. It's got a lot of parts that are just laugh out, knock you on your butt funny. So that was my first quote unquote comedic attempt. And I think that humor sort of runs through all of my books, regardless of what the subject matter is. So, because I'm a silly person. So, silly works for me.
And her daddy was a mess in that book.
Oh, yeah. And I based him on a real guy named Ben Hodges.
Okay.
Ben Hodges was a con man in the West. He's a Black guy. And when he died, they said they buried him in Boot Hill so the other outlaws could keep an eye on him. And the thing in Topaz where Daddy took Dix's cows?
Yeah.
Ben Hodges actually did that with somebody. And then sold the cows back to this other guy because he couldn't tell. There's some greenhorn from from the east who come out. He stole his cows. I found some cows for you and sold them back. So when they said, one of the outlaws said that if Ben tells you it's raining, you better go look out the window and see, just to make sure. But yeah, he's based on a real character.
I was like, he is such a rolling stone and a hustler and always getting into some mess.
I know.
He moved that plot.
Yeah, then we had to kill him.
And like something else was coming up.
Yeah, I know. And we had to kill him. Everybody's like, you killed her dad. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. People gonna die. Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed that. It's one of my favorite books. I would love to see it as a movie. I mean, can you imagine all those African American actresses?
Oh my God.
I was going to ask you that because I love Deadly Sexy. I love that it's independent. I love that it got made. I know that, Forbidden got optioned, but the process of actually producing, it can be slow. So I wanted to ask, which book would you pick if you wanted to be a part of another independent film? Because Deadly Sexy was good.
Oh, Iris did such a great job with that. And we for those who are unfamiliar with it, it's one of my romantic suspense books. She's a sports agent. And we did a crowdfunding for it. And everywhere I go, people were like, Miss Bev, when are you going to make a movie? When you make a movie? So it's like, okay, put your money where your mouth is. And, we did not raise enough money, of course. But Iris put that movie together with diaper pins and, shoelaces and buttons. Travis is not bad on the eyes.
Oh my gosh.
And he is just as nice. He could be crazy though. I saw him in some stuff. We were like, oh yeah. But it came out really, really well. I mean, she did and she taught herself filmmaking.
Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
Iris Bowling self-taught?
Yeah, because she was tired of waiting for somebody to green light an African American romance. So she did 2 or 3 of her own books at first.
The series, yeah.
Had them on a local channel in Richmond and learned as she went, and when she approached me about doing Deadly Sexy, I was like, sure, why not? So I got to see some of the filming and
oh my gosh.
Got my girlfriend Regina Bell to play one of the moms, and Regina's reading my book, and she's, Grammy Award winning singer and all of that. But it was a great experience, and I'm hoping that, she's going to do one of Brenda's books next. I don't know how that is going, but just so grateful to her. And plus she's a great person, so yeah, Deadly Sexy. For those of you who want to see it, it's still on Amazon Prime. Deadly Sexy, the movie. But read the book first. That's what I tell people. Read the book first. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, read the book first. Yeah.
So if you had an opportunity for another book to be in a movie or even a TV series, would it be Topaz? Is that the one you would want?
It would be Topaz, but I really want Jessie Rose.
Oh, yes.
My first quote unquote Western. And I want Taraji P. Henson to play Jessie.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I can just see her, because that first scene when we see her, she's on the roof of that house, the moon behind her, and she got a shotgun in her hand. I would love to see Taraji as Jessie Rose. And then I'm greedy. I want to see everything on the screen, but
yeah.
So do we.
I want to see everything on the screen, but I would love to see Jessie. I would love to see Topaz too. Indigo, people want that, but historical is so expensive.
Yeah.
You got to have Bridgerton money in order to.
They have the money, Bev.
Oh, I know,
that's
baby.
Not an excuse.
I know. I'm trying to be politically correct here. When I'm not on the screen, I'm cussing. Because, like you said, they got the money.
Yeah.
They just don't want it. We'll talk about that later. But Al Roker has optioned the Blessing series, which is my small town series, and supposedly we're going to hear some news soon about where that is. Forbidden, thanks to the Leah and Bia at Red Bodice, was ready to go, and then the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And the folks that had given it the green light sort of, took to 4 corners of the earth, and now it's back out on the block looking for a home again. So, but if it's meant to be, it will be. Whoever thought I'd get, this far into my career and have all this love and open doors for other folks and all of that. So I'm content. I'm content. I'm making a little bit of money, and I'm good meeting y'all, and so.
Yeah.
The Blessing series is it's so expansive. I wanted to know, has that broadened your reader base at all?
Yeah, because it's bringing, there's a lot of older people.
Okay.
And I'm just going to say women. Some of them really like the heat in the historicals. You'd be surprised. But it's brought a lot of church groups to the table. And a lot of teenagers. There's a an older white gentleman down in Arkansas who has a radio show, and his wife turned him on to the Blessing books, and he follows me on Twitter. And one of the books, I don't remember which one it was, he gave me a shout out on Twitter, and he said, "Miss Bev, you should not be making old white guys cry." I got a letter from a Marine, retired Marine drill sergeant. Sent me an email and said that he knew that my publisher didn't think he would be, somebody like him would be part of my demographics. He said, "But I love these damn books," So it's brought a lot of different people to the table. And then those who have not read the historicals, once they realize, because everybody in my contemporaries are related to my historical characters. So once they realize that, and if they're open to reading the historicals, then they go back and start with Night Song and go forward. But I'm on my 4th generation of readers, from the youngins who are reading Belle and Josephine, and young girls who are in college, and then their mothers, and then their grandmothers, and then the old hens like me. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing. I am not stressed at all about where and what I don't have. I'm just happy with what I do have.
Yeah. And what made you want to write romantic suspense then? Because we've noticed a trend where a lot of historical romance authors shift over towards romantic suspense. So what made you want to write that?
My editor asked me if I had any suspense. And, and I tell this story. Edge of Midnight is the first one, which is my favorite of the suspense. That was the very first book I wrote. And that book was so bad. Oh my God. And I tell people that when I took it to the post office, this was probably way before I sent in Night Song. That's probably 85 or so. When I put it in the mail, I tell people the rejection letter almost beat me home. That's how bad that book was. But when Erica Sang, who's my very patient and very lovely editor, asked me about a contemporary romantic suspense, I told her, yeah. And I went back and I got out that awful manuscript, and I looked at it, and I realized who the characters were. They were the descendants of Galen and Hester. And I could not have written that book until Indigo was published. So everything in its time and place. Things happen when they're supposed to. At least that's my view of the world. So that's when I started hooking up all of the contemporary people with the historical people. So, but yeah, that it could not have been written. I mean, it was terrible. It was absolutely, and plus I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Your first book, you don't know what to do. You don't even know if you can write or not. It was bad. It was really bad. But I'm always going to be grateful for Ellen Edwards, who was my first editor, because she basically taught me, I could write, but I couldn't write. She taught me how to write mass market fiction, and how to do it, and what to emphasize, and editors these days don't have time for that because they're so overworked, and so many hats that they're wearing, and it's, I in a way I feel bad for young writers coming up because they don't get that hands-on kind of direction that some of them, not all of them, that some of them may need. So, but yeah. But you were talking about Indigo being your favorite. I got stories for everything. I have a reader here in Michigan. She loved Indigo. This was, when it first came out in 96. And I saw her maybe a year or so after the book was published. I would see her, every now and then at signings and stuff. And she said she read it every day after work, to the point where she had lost pages in the book. But she said, Bev, I got that damn book memorized. She said, so when I get to the pages that are missing, she said, I just recite them and then I go back to wherever my pages pick up. And I'm like, you are in too deep. you need to step away from Indigo. But that's
I
sort
was
of
searching for the copy of Indigo, the original cover, for a long time, and I stumbled in where I live. There's like a Goodwill type of store, like a thrift store, and I think a library donates their books there.
Okay.
And they had all of your mass market paperbacks.
Oh my God.
Every single one. And I like froze in the aisle. I was like, do you guys know what you have right now? I just like armful
oh, bless you.
basket. And the ones that I didn't have, I was like passing out your books in the aisle. I was like, you like romance? Read this. You do not regret it.
Thank you so much. And that's how the readership grew in the beginning, was word of mouth and, hand selling. And I'm still doing that. There's still people discovering me today. Yeah. And every day there's somebody on Twitter going, I read my first Beverly Jenkins book. And I'm like, where you been? But thank you for taking a chance and checking me out. But yeah, I mean, when it went out of print originally I think it went out of print maybe in 98. And the internet was just starting. There were people asking $4,000 for that book. I'm like, no, do not buy it. Not because I don't get any money, but how are you going to pay $4,000 for a book that was $2.99 when it was first published?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else, I tell, back away. You in too deep. No.
Oh no, eBay bids on your books go crazy.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane. I mean, I love the readers for that, but you could be paying rent with that money, or your car note, or buying somebody else's books, So
rent, yes.
Do you have a favorite cover? A cover with that when you saw it, you're like
Nighthawk.
Oh,
Nighthawk.
Leather hat.
Oh God,
yeah.
And yes. I was on deadline, the last week of deadline when, you haven't showered for a week and you're in the same clothes and you've been eating Cheerios for 3 days, right? And I opened up my email and Avon Art has sent me that cover, but it didn't have any words on it. It was just him.
Okay.
And I looked at that and went, oh my God, that'll wake a sister up. Oh my God. So I have, I think, 4 Facebook pages. And my personal page is I don't even have a personal page. I just got working pages. And the main page, I was like, okay, I got to show this to the ladies. It was like maybe 9 a.m. And I put it up on the page and they went insane. Insane. So about noon, I was like, okay, I'm going to take him down now because I need to get him a towel from all of you licking him and slobbering over him and all of that. So, but yeah, that and Midnight, I think are 2. But they've always given me great covers. Avon Art is known for fabulous covers, but the Midnight cover is it looks contemporary. I don't care.
Yeah, Midnight's really pretty.
I don't care. It's gorgeous. But yeah, Nighthawk, that wins the prize.
Good pick. I like that pick.
Yeah.
Do you have a say in any of your covers now? Like, do you get to say like, oh, I want this on my covers, or I don't like?
Yeah, I do. They give me a say.
Okay.
At the beginning of your career, you just got to take what they give you.
But yours were amazing for your first books. Like,
well, I had a great
wow.
art department. And now they'll say, well, what color are your people? Do you like this? Do you like that? how about this pose? How about that pose? And so I get to, and that's a blessing too, because I get a little bit of a say in what I'm putting my name on. But my thing, I'm more concerned about what's in between the cover and the back cover than what's on the cover. So, but I'm very thankful that they at least let me weigh in, on what I like and what I don't like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I have a question kind of unrelated to covers, kind of switching gears here.
Okay.
One of my favorite things about your books is the romance, obviously, but also the history, especially your historicals, that is poured and interlaced into the book so seamlessly. And one of my other favorite books is part of the Destiny's Captive. It was the first book. I'm Dominican, and it was the first book that I read where I saw Dominican culture so vivid on the page. And I went to my dad and I was like, look, like, it was so real and so well done.
Oh, thank you.
What is the process of your research when you
I just immerse myself. I immerse myself in the political, because this takes place in Cuba, right?
Yeah.
So you got the war, the first war with Spain. So I do the political, I do the food.
Yes, that was my favorite part.
I do the food, because she looks at that bacon, she's like, "What is this? We don't eat this."
I was laughing so hard when I heard that.
I'm so glad I got it right, because you always worry when you step into another culture that you're going to screw stuff up. But, I try and do it to the point where I think I know what I'm doing now. I think I'm not going to screw up, but yeah, the political, the food. I don't think we did music, because music is so important for cultures of color. But there was no really need for a music kind of a background for that book. But I'm just glad to hear I got it right. Yeah. Because, in romance, we don't get a lot of diversity in historicals.
Oh, yeah.
And we all have a story to tell. Whether we're Dominican, whether we're Native American, whether we're, Asian American. And somebody got to tell those stories.
Yeah.
So I, it's part of my mission, is to try and at least do a little bit, if, do what little parts I can. I can't carry the world, but, to do as much as I can and to do it well. Because when I didn't know about the race riots in Denver when I did Nighthawk, and this was not black and white. This was Chinese and white, or the riots in California with the Chinese, where Chinese people were being hung from lampposts. So you read the history. And I tell my readers that I do a lot of the crying for them. But you can't put people of color in a historical and then just whitewash the background around them.
Right.
That don't make no sense. And you're not being true to your readers, or you're not being true to yourself, and you're not being true to the history. So I think I did an interview, a podcast one time with a young woman, and she said, I read your first book, and her first book of mine, and she said I was really uncomfortable with the history, and I said I understand that. I said, but think about how uncomfortable the people were having to live it. You're just reading it.
Yeah.
So I think that has maybe affected my sales, which is fine, because I'm not going to change how I write and what I write just to hit a list,
Mm.
you know. So, and the history is so rich from
Yeah.
all of the people of color, that, and I think too, the more we know about each other, the better off we all are. This whole CRT stuff is ridiculous, so we're never going to get to where we need to be if we don't know anything about each other. So that's my little soapbox moment.
I have noticed
Love
that I wanted to ask, do you make a point to feature real places? Because I've
Yeah.
noticed that your settings, okay.
Yeah. I mean, because stuff happened in these real places.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna make stuff up because I don't have to. There's enough that has gone under the radar, enough that has been overlooked, enough that has been, and I know you guys have seen me say this in interviews before. It's like a quilt, and a lot of these places the history's been snatched out or stitched over or hidden underneath another, quilting square.
Right.
So, it's my job, or at least I think it's my job and has been my job, to highlight these places and put this shit back in the quilt because it's so important. Kids need to see that they were more than slaves. Asian Americans need to see that they were more than the people who built the railroads. We all contributed to this madness that we call America. And I think everybody, no matter your culture or your race, should know about everybody, no matter your color or your race or your background. So,
Do you have any other like real people that you really loved incorporating into your books? Because you talked about Topaz as a character is based off of a real person from history, and you mentioned a lot in like your author's notes, like these people were real, this was real.
Yeah, I try and give you what's happening. Like Harriet Tubman, she's in Through the Storm. First time she makes a appearance in my book, she's in Through the Storm, and it's her spy group. People know Harriet Tubman, and she freed the slaves, and she went back south, and she got all these other people don't know about her working as a spy for the Union Army.
Yeah.
So she shows up in that book. She shows up in Winds of the Storm. There's mention of her in the book that I'm doing right now, the one that's coming out in August.
Ooh.
Yeah, To Catch a Raven, right?
Yep, Catch a Raven. How to Catch a Raven.
Oh yeah.
She's not in the story, but she's mentioned in the story because some of the stuff is connected to her. There are real people in my books, in all of my books. And I try and put that in the author notes so that you know who the real people are, as opposed to the people that come out of my head, that are in my green room in my head, because there is a difference. And then the older books, like probably the first 5 or 6 books, are a lot heavier with the history than with these latest books, because I've already taught you. I've already taught myself.
Yeah.
So, you can have that background. I don't need to go back and tell you what Harriet Tubman did. I don't need to go back and tell you what happened with the Black Seminoles. You already know that from Topaz. So it frees me to tell a different kind of story, but it also frees me to find new history that, maybe has gone underreported or has been missing or lost, stolen, or strayed, So I'm having a good time with this. I really am. Having a good time with you all too.
Thank you.
We are too.
I had a question about your historical library, if you will, for research.
Okay.
And I wanted to know, for your romantic suspense, like I know that you have The Writer's Guide to Poisons. Are there any other cool books in that library that you use for romantic suspense?
That's probably because I used Poisons for before the Dawn. I got 3 different Dawn books. I'm just seeing the private chat. I'm sorry, ladies. I just realized that you all are here. I'm looking at the chat. There's a bunch
Oh,
of
yep.
y'all here.
Yep.
Whoa. Thanks for coming. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'll get to you
Watching.
guys and waving at you. Yeah, the probably the silliest book is the Poisons book. But I used it for Before the Dawn. And if you had not read that book, that's a scary book. The villain in that is like really scary. Um, but I got your typical stuff. I mean, I've got, Writer's Guide to Life in the 18th Century. Writer's Digest did a series of those. 18th century, there's a 19th century, there's a Wild West. I got all the Black West books, Art Burton's books. We were talking about him on Twitter the other day. Black, Red, and Deadly. He is, for me, the best historian on the Black West. And he just redid his book on Bass Reeves, who is a real person who makes an appearance in Topaz. But when I first started, I didn't have the library that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
I was all going to the library.
Yeah.
It was before Aunt Google, before misadventures of Wikipedia. Yeah, I don't rely on Wikipedia.
You were working at the library though, right? That was
I was working
job.
at a library. Yeah, so I could, and I was, and I always say they had a full set of the Journal of Negro History, and so I would take those out on the river and ran through campus, and eat my lunch with them. Because as I've said 1,000 times, my mama was Black before it was fashionable, so I grew up with Black history in my home.
Yeah.
So, and life is so strange. Who knew that? Oh, this is like 1976. I'm 25 years old. That what I was doing at Michigan State University's library would be the foundation for my career.
Yeah.
And all I ever wanted to do was work in the library. I hadn't planned on being a writer.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, life says, okay, you got your dream here, put this hat on, try this. And so here I am 28 years later talking to y'all. Keep living. Life is wonderful. Life is, you got your ups and downs and all that, but it can be amazingly amazing at times.
Yeah. Was there a book or a turning point or just a moment where you realized, like, I am not writing as a hobby. I'm not writing just to get these stories out. Like, this is going to become my career.
They kept giving me contracts.
That's
because when I first started, and I've said this before, when all of the rejection letters started coming in for the first book, I didn't care.
Yeah.
I was getting up and going to work in the library every morning. That was my dream. But when they kept giving me contracts, and I could see the books in the store, and my mama's moving books around, they're on the bottom. I was like, Ma, they're alphabetical. I don't care. I don't care. They should be on they should be on the front, But they kept offering me contracts. First, when you first get started, at least with me, they offered me a 1-book contract.
Okay.
And then I got a 2-book contract.
Okay.
And then it was like, okay, how about this 3-book contract? And I was like, damn, I guess I'm supposed to be doing this,
Yeah.
Because I was clueless that first book. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Because Night Song, when I turned it in after they bought the book, and Ellen said, and I've said this before, Ellen said, Beverly, we love your writing. We need a story. Because this was like 700 pages of heat. It was nothing but love songs, nothing but love scenes in this
I
book.
mean,
It was like heat from
I'm fine with
bang,
that.
bang, 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 bang. And I was like, I write a story. She's like, yeah, we need a story. So it didn't make much sense to me to have these two African American characters and place something against a majority white background, knowing what I knew even then about how rich and how deep our history was. So, as the kids say, the librarian in me started doing the research, and I discovered the Great Exodus of 1879, which was the first mass migration of Black folks out of the South after the death of Reconstruction. Not to be confused with the Great Migration of 1900. In 1900, people went north. The 1879, they went west. Kansas and Nebraska and Colorado and California, and started these little communities. And I think that was one of the reasons why I was getting rejected, is because New York was like, okay, Black people, 19th century, should be slavery. So here I come with a story, free Black people after the Civil War, living in a small all-Black town in Kansas. And they're like, what the hell is this? What are we supposed to be doing with this? There's no slavery in this book. And I was like,
they didn't know what to do with the Wakanda you created already.
No,
so.
they did not know.
Yeah.
Or that it was true, actually existed.
Yeah.
It's not something I just made up in my head. So, yeah, because I tell the story, I probably got enough rejections. Like I always say to paper, everybody's kitchen in this room. And they all said, great writing, but great writing, but great writing, but. And that but was that they didn't know what to do with it. What are we supposed to do with this? There are no slaves in this book. No. And there's no white saviors either. I don't know what y'all gonna do. So. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask about I know that you're a pantsy. I know that you don't plot and you kind of just write as you go. How is the process of writing steam and heat for you? Is it just come to you?
I had a really good marriage.
Okay.
My daughter was always telling me and my husband, would y'all get a room?
Oh.
I'm like, we in a room. We own this house. In fact, when you go to college, we're going to use your bed. So. And we did. And so we had good times with that. So the intimacy. And I think a lot of my heroes are based on him. And I lost him in 2003 to cancer, but he's still sending me scenes from heaven. He still shows up in my dreams doing crazy stuff. So that steam, and then who was I talking to? I don't remember who it was. One of the older women. I said, how hard it is to keep writing love scenes after 28 years. I was like, yeah. Because you done it everywhere. Tables. I used to say I write tables, chairs, and stairs. So, trying to put some originality in those scenes gets to be a little bit much. Struggle is real, after a while. But,
struggle, because in Wild Rain, he was bookish, but he was blowing that back out.
Yeah, he was. He surprised me. I was like, whoa, wait, what are we doing here? I'm just trying to keep up, right? Like I said, half the time, I don't know what my stories are going to be or who my people are. They tell me as we go along. Yeah. But yeah, I was not expecting that from him. I expected her, I didn't expect her to lead because she didn't know nothing either. She had no clue about anything other than being on her knees. That was all she knew. And for him to be that extensive, I was like, whoa, wait, what? Okay.
He was well read.
He was well read and well rounded, so don't eat or drink while you're talking to me. I will make stuff come out your nose.
Oh my goodness.
I love
I
that.
know.
Did you read a lot of historicals before writing historicals, or?
Well, yeah, I grew up with, I read a lot of, in the years that I was writing, because I was writing Night Song for me, because the market was closed. But I had a good neighbor who was really, really hooked on historicals. So I would borrow her books. So I read a lot of Woodwest, I read a lot of Lindsay, I read a lot of Linda Del Miller. Her first 3 books are awesome. Who else did we read? Mainly those. I didn't read Nora. I read mostly Avon, Rosemary Rogers.
Mm.
So I knew how to put a historical together. I just didn't know how to write it, because like I said, your first book is a mess, but I knew the tropes. I knew how to write. I just didn't know how to write, as I said. But then always loved a good love story. Always loved a good love story. So even when none of the stories featured people that looked like me, I still loved a good love story. So
you
yeah.
were reading Avon, and then what was it like to get signed, Bev?
It was crazy. It was crazy. Because as I was telling people at RWA, my husband and I were having a fight that day.
Oh no.
We were having a tremendous, I don't know what we were fighting about, something stupid probably. Following each other up and down the stairs and neck rocking and fingers rocking and all of that. And the phone rang. And time out on the fight, right? Answer the phone. And it was Ellen Edwards. And she said, she wanted to buy my book. And when I hung up, I looked at him, I said, they want to buy my book. He said, oh, I guess I'll take your little black ass to dinner then. I was like, yeah, you do, motherfucker. Yeah, you do. So I'm sorry. But yeah, but it was amazing to be in the same house with, was Shirley Busby Avon too? But to be in the same house with Woodwest. And in fact, I had met her.
Wow.
My girlfriend Laverne and I, Laverne was the person that encouraged me to get published. Woodwest came to one of our local grocery stores. There's a big old sign, and that's when a lot of romances were sold in grocery stores as opposed to bookstores. And she was touring. So she and I left work. We were working at Park Davis Pharmaceuticals. We left work. We told our boss, who was a female, we're going to see this romance author. We know it's going to be a long line. We don't know when we'll get back. She's like, good, see you later, So we went and we stood in line and met her, and she was very, very kind and very gracious. And I told her I was working on this African-American historical. And she looked at me and she said, well, when you get it done, send it to me. And the little PR guy that was with her said, he got real snotty. Are you going to tell that to everybody? And she just looked at him. And he took his little cell phone away and went over wherever he was going. But when I got published, where's that sound coming from?
I don't know. Someone's mowing the lawn next door. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah, just a little bit. Okay, I thought it was my computer.
Okay. No, they decided to mow the lawn right now.
Yeah, nothing like living in the suburbs.
Right.
So when I was signed, I told them about meeting Woodwest. And I don't think anybody believed me, because nobody sent her the manuscript or anything like that. And I never, didn't meet her because, it was before they were sending me anywhere on tour and all that. But I always remember how kind she was to me. So, but yeah, it was amazing to be to be picked up by, back then, the #1 romance house in the world. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still there. Still with them 28 years later, you know. Still dancing with the one that brung me.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah.
How do you think that you have influenced the writing industry and the romance industry?
You know, I don't know. You have to ask other folks that. I mean, I'm not one to. I know I have been encouraging.
Mhm.
You know, um, I know that I have been yelling like a prophet in the wilderness about diversity and opening the doors to people who were not um, standard, what America considers standard.
Mhm.
Um, I just tried to make the path a little bit wider for folks coming up behind me, regardless of who they are. Um, I had a interviewer ask me one time, what did I want on my headstone? Which was a novel question. I had never gotten that one before.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, you go and you get the same questions over and over again most of the time. And I thought about it for a minute and I said, you know, I don't know. I think what I would want is she tried. She tried to be a good person. She tried to be a good friend. She tried to write good books.
Yeah.
She tried to make the path wider. She tried to make the world a better place. So you'll have to ask the readers and the other writers what
We
my
wholeheartily agree with all of that. So
okay,
yeah.
good. What the legacy would be. That's a whole lot of comments on here.
There is a comment question asking, are you doing any book signings now that there's
I have not gone back on, you know, especially since now that, you know, I'm 71 years old. I ain't got no business on a plane with people who don't have masks on. In fact, I saw a thing on Twitter today where somebody said their niece has COVID, got on a plane today anyway. And I'm like, no, I don't need to be doing that.
Whew.
Yeah, that's, you know, talk about the struggle being real.
Mhm.
But I am doing a couple of events this year. I'm doing a keynote at Writer's Digest annual convention in New York end of July. And then Shay Bohannon, who has a podcast too, um, is doing her first romance con kind of thing in Virginia. It's called Raw Romance and Writers something. And it's going to be in Virginia. So I'm going to do that. And that's going to be my only two get on plane events this year. I would sort of like to go, you know, I told myself I wasn't going to be traveling again. But when I looked at my tax bill, because I had no travel, I need to be traveling every weekend. No, not really. But yeah, and you know, and we were talking about that on Twitter. We like everybody, you know, we all took a really, really big hit tax wise because, you know, not enough. Even my tax guy called me. He said, you didn't put any travel on here. I said, I didn't do any travel. I haven't done any travel in 3 years, you know, so.
Yeah.
But I miss everybody and I don't miss being in the airport.
Yeah.
I spent the last 15 years in airports, but I do miss the hugs and I do miss, you know, sometimes the tears and the smiles and can you talk to my mom on the phone kind of thing.
Oh my
Yeah, I get that a lot. My girlfriend she can't come. Can you talk to her on the phone? Sure, give me the phone. You know, well, I had a reader, and I was just telling the ladies on Facebook yesterday. I got an email from a woman, her younger sister, her baby sister, is a big fan, and Through the Storm is her favorite book. And so Big Sister wanted to know if she could buy a book and pay me to sign it and send it. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. If I have one in my stash, I'll mail it to her. Give me her address. So I looked through my stash, didn't find it, but I remembered my mom passed away 2 years ago. My mom had every book that I wrote. She read everything.
Oh.
And I looked in the bag, and there was a hardcover for Through the Storm. So I crossed out Mama's name, put her name in it, sent it UPS, mailed it to her.
Wow.
And of course, I'm not going to charge her for it.
Yeah.
And so when I opened the email yesterday, she had sent me a video saying thank you. And she could barely talk because she was crying. She's crying, I'm crying watching it. But, I miss the interaction, the personal interaction with my readers because they mean so much to me. I wouldn't be here without them. I'm not going to say it's all about me. It's all about them, which is why I try and write good books. I don't know. Once they're wasting their money, they could be spending that money on somebody else. So yeah. But I miss the energy and the love from the live signings. Mm-hmm.
When we were talking about you broadening the road, you definitely have. Who are you reading? I know you read a lot of fantasy.
I read a lot of fantasy. So it's like working at McDonald's. You're not going to go home and make hamburgers. But I have a slew of the young adult fantasies that these young Black women are trying to send me to the poorhouse from buying their books. But I read Naima Simone. I read Katrina Jackson. I read a little bit of everybody just to try and stay current. A.C. Arthur, Cheryl Lister, Rebecca Weatherspoon, of course, Courtney Milan, Kid Roca and their mercenary librarians. A little bit of everything, but mostly fantasy. Because I'm trying to write this dragon book. I don't know.
I was gonna say, are you gonna give us some more dragons?
What?
Because there's an 8-page at the end of what is it, Crystal Clear?
Yeah.
Novella. We got 8 pages of that dragon romance. Can we get some more back?
I know. I'm trying. I'm sort of on a hiatus right now, so I am devoting this summer to finishing Sweet's book.
Okay.
From Sexy Dangerous, which I have been lying to my readers about giving to them for the last 15 years. So I'm gonna try and work on that, and then I really want to do this dragon book because it's in my head. I mean, and she's like, "You ain't got a whole lot of time left, woman. Come on." So hey, I am a realist. I have many more years behind me than I have ahead of me. So, I'm not going. My daughter said, "Mom, you're going to live to be 450. I'm like, I don't want to live that long. No, but so we're trying to see how much I can put in. Whatever God gives me is always a blessing.
Well, you'll outlive that because of your books, Bev. Because your books.
Yeah. They'll always be around. So, yeah. But being realistic, and I have had a hell of a time. So, me and my girlfriend, we've been friends for 50 years. We were talking about it the other day. She's like, "Did you think we were still going to be alive?" I said, "After all the shit we've done, no, we should have been dead in our 20s. Back in the days of rage and weed and LSD and all of that, so don't get me started on those stories. I have to kill y'all. I have to kill y'all.
Bev Unplugged.
Bev Unplugged is dangerous.
We did have a question. Where do you recommend new readers start with your books?
I always recommend they start at the beginning. I know people jump around and stuff, but I always say read them in order. That way you don't miss anything.
True.
But people read what's more comfortable for them. And I understand that. So if you look on my website, www.beverlyjenkins.net, the books are broken down into various, forms.
Okay.
There's a by publication order. My system broke them down into series. None of these were supposed to be series. Everything was supposed to be standalone until Destiny. Everything was standalone. But there's only one book, and my longtime readers and some new readers know the answer to this trivia question. There's only one book that is not related to any of the other books, because all the other books are related in some way. But there's only one book that is not related. And you'll have to read all of the books in order to find out, because
Right?
I ain't telling you.
We're all looking. We're
What
like,
is that?
If you read all the books, then you know the answer to that question. If not, well, you get a chance to read the books. Shameless plug. You get a chance to read all the books to see. Yeah.
Gosh. Could you tell us a little bit about your new book coming out? Because that is
New
this
book.
summer, right?
Yeah, it'll be out in August. It's called How to Catch a Raven. Her name is Raven. She's a grifter from a family of grifters out of New Orleans. And she's sort of blackmailed into, by Pinkerton, into helping this Pinkerton retrieve a stolen copy of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh.
So it's enemies to lovers.
Ooh.
It's marriage and convenience. It's a fake marriage. I got all the tropes in this. It's one bed. What else is it? We got a bag of mice. We have Charleston, we have New Orleans, we have LA, San Francisco. Book starts in San Francisco. We have an older couple.
Okay.
Who I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to let you read that. Just thinking about this. They're a mess. They're their parents. Her mom and his dad were. It's a second chance for them. It's all the tropes. I mean, it's everything. It's like I just threw everything into the stew pot. I'm making jambalaya on page, right? And hopefully you'll like it. I don't know about any other writers, but I always worry. Are they going to throw tomatoes at me this time? They're going to tell me this is a bad book. I never go into it thinking, oh, this is some good shit. No, I don't ever do that. Because that's when you get a book that nobody wants to read. So hopefully you will like it. I like her a lot. I like him. And if you think Garrett was over the top, wait till you meet Braxton. So I had a lot of fun with it. I wanted to do something a little bit lighter. So I don't know if it's lighter or not. I think it is. But we'll see. It'll be out in August. And then we had to put off Blessings 11 again. So it'll be out next year because I didn't have time to write it or finish it. And with the supply challenges that publishing is facing, if it's not in the pipeline, then, you got issues. So it'll be out next year.
Okay.
Yeah. So other than that, I'm not going to be in airports this summer. I may get to enjoy my patio and my flowers and cussing at the rabbits and, and the squirrels who I think stole my black tulips.
Oh no!
I know, girl. I need a wabbit gun. I really do. But I'm gonna take a break for the first time in probably a decade.
Wow.
And just catch my breath and
Yeah.
and renew my love of writing and work on sweetness and get to, kill some people and blow some stuff up and have some car chases and all of the things that I can't do when I do historicals that I can do in contemporaries with black op helicopters and, from what's that in Edge Dawn? We had the black op helicopters. That's another book I would love to see turned into a movie. So
it's so action packed. I might give that to my brother because I feel like that would be good for.
Yeah, that one. My daughter's like, "Ma, can we make this movie so I can see her drive that SUV through the front of that 7-Eleven?" And I'm like, yeah. He like that. He might like. Does he like westerns? He might like Jesse Rose too. A lot of guys. I got a lot of guys read my books. So they like the westerns. So
don't forget to dream about dragons, Bev.
Oh, I know.
Dragons.
How many more Blessings books do you plan to write? There's only one more on contract after 11. And then we're going to leave them alone for a little while because, and no, I'm not going to write about the kids growing up. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I'm not. We'll try something else. Because, I don't want to be one of those authors where y'all are saying, she need to stop writing this series. Because I know I have said that with some authors. It's like, and nothing else you can do with it. So after book 12, I guess 12 will be a Blessings. I don't know. We may end it at 11 and 12 will be something entirely different. I don't know. But a lot of closure with 11 for sure. So we'll see.
All right, well, we are over an hour now. Is there any last minute questions? Anybody like dying to have the answer to something? Let me know. Speak now.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Is there any advice you would give to future, I'm sure you get this question a lot, to any new authors, like the one piece of advice that you would give them?
Finish the damn book. I say that every time. Finish the book. And then I always add, and this is for new writers, up and coming writers. Don't let somebody else's success make you feel less. They're on their journey. You're on yours. You can't have somebody else's blessings. You can only have your own. So, I mean, and when, and it's natural to compare ourselves to somebody else, but it serves no purpose. So don't let somebody else's success make you feel less. And finish the damn book. Stop talking about being a writer. You're a writer, not a talker.
That's perfect advice. Well, and on this question, is there a part of history you have not written about that you really would love to?
I want to do the gentleman gangsters of the 30s and 40s that were in Harlem and in Detroit.
Be fun.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. So many. I mean, I got girlfriends who say, there's writers who say they have, trying to come up with stories and characters for them is very, very difficult. It's like trying to pull. Somebody said like trying to pull nails out of cement by hand. I got so many people in my head. I'm gonna need at least 3 lifetimes in order to get all these stories out. So I may have to live to be 450 in order to get all these
Write
stories.
everything.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I am not without stories. We'll see.
All right. Well, this was absolutely amazing. You are amazing. I love listening to everything that you said. Thank you so much for talking.
I love your shirt. What does that say? Clay Puffs Jenkins?
You are on here. Yeah. So me and my friends
Let me see.
this.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a great shirt.
Yes.
It's a great shirt.
All of our original favorites.
There you go.
Yes.
All
right. Make sure everybody check out How to Catch a Raven this summer.
Yep.
Sounds amazing.
Do your pre-orders. If you use a Nook, Barnes and Noble has everything. I think it's 25% off, 20% off, something like that.
Mhm.
So, but pre-orders. I mean, and even if you don't read the books that first week, always buy your favorite author's books that first week, because that's the only week that counts for lists. And I'm not just saying this as a shameless plug for me, but for me too.
Mhm.
But, you know, your favorite authors, always buy, even if you're not going to read it, you know, pre-order it or buy it, put it away. But they can't make a list on your purchase the third week. And I know not everybody's got, you know, cash to do, but if you are able, let's put it that way, buy your books that first week. And don't return books. That money is deducted from our royalty stuff. We cannot make a living if you are returning books and getting your money back.
Oh God.
Stop
I didn't
that,
know that.
please. Some authors, independent authors, are going broke right now because somebody said it was a book talker. I don't know who it was.
Yep.
Oh
It
no.
said return books. No, if you return that book and get your money back, that sale and that purchase that goes to the author is deducted from their royalty rights. Authors are looking at their statements and looking at all these returns and weeping. So stop it.
Yes.
If you can't afford books, get them from the library.
Yeah. I said for physical and ebooks, it's the same.
It's just for physical books if you purchase. Yeah.
Yep.
But I would say don't return anything.
Yeah.
You know? Why are you
There's
returning
always
books?
libraries that you guys can donate books to.
Yeah. Don't treat your favorite authors that way. We're trying to make a living. We ain't making no money now anyway. So, you know, it's like, you know, we're working for either if we're independent or we're, you know, not Nora, you know, we need every penny we can get. So don't return books. All right.
Okay.
Another soapbox moment. Thank
go
you,
pre-order.
ladies.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you
me.
so much.
I have had a great time. Look at Tiff.
And thank you. Everybody in the comments, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks for coming, hanging out with me on a Saturday afternoon when you could be doing something else. I really, really appreciate you all being here. So now I'm going to go sit outside and enjoy this 80-degree weather. Hopefully it won't snow tomorrow like it did on Monday. But
we don't need any more snow.
No, we don't. No, we don't. Love you all.
Thank you for your time.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.